After everything you guys went through last year, what does it mean to officially be back in the playoffs?
It means a lot. I think it's one of those things where you gotta just appreciate the journey, and I think when you're building something that I've been a part of for 6 years here, the first 4 or 5, you kind of get a little jaded, a little spoiled with just expecting to win and the excellence that it takes to be good every night in this league, and that was taken away from us last year. So sitting at home in April and watching the first round of the playoffs, or even the play-in when we all felt like we were capable enough to be there, it stung a little bit, and I know that's something that we spoke about. And fast forward to having a group nobody really thought was going to be any good. Being here in this position is good. We did what we set out to do in the regular season, which was have a good regular season, and obviously we still got 3 more games left, but get us a spot where we feel like we belong, and now it's time to go see what we can do.
You've been dealing with the knee, and a bunch of the other guys are banged up as well. Is that one of the added benefits of avoiding the play-in, to have that time between now and when the playoffs start?
Yeah, I think as you have to make those decisions as an individual, you got to look at the schedule and the standings and just kind of weigh everything. And that was one of the things that factored into my decision-making process, was just go lay it on the line and see if we can get in and avoid that play-in, because there is a 6 extra days or whatever it is there. And that was, you weigh everything up and see what's the best route, and that's kind of how I made my decision, was just to go out there and it hasn't been pretty all the time as we saw tonight, but we've been playing some good basketball in the last couple weeks.
When you hit that 3, how good did that feel based on the way the night had been going to that point? I mean,
I knew it was coming. I was hoping that there was enough time. I knew I had 1 more left in the chamber, but man, if I play a little bit better, that game's over with probably by halftime or this third quarter, to be honest with you. So that was frustrating, especially when you got to chase Trey around, and it was rough for me out there tonight. But we had great performances around the board. Guys stepped up and played well, and that's the growth of this team is I can have an off night and still get a win, and that's the testament of a playoff team.
Have you made a decision about these last 3 games? You're 6th. You could be 5th, but you're 6th. Does it matter whether you play or not at this point?
No, I haven't made a decision. I haven't even thought about it, to be honest. So I'm gonna come in tomorrow, get some treatment, and we'll probably talk a little bit and see what's the best approach going forward, and that'll be probably a group decision.
Part of the big theme of this season was the young guys having to learn. Are you impressed with how quickly things have come along to this point?
I think those guys deserve a ton of credit. If you look at what Scotty has done, you look at the growth in Precious, you look at the role Chris Boucher has played, the addition, I'm getting away from the young guys now, but the addition of that, Gary Trent Jr., the step in the growth he's made. I think all of those guys deserve a ton of credit. Because as we know, it's those extra pieces around the board that make a team what it is, and we've had contributions, from just about everybody in the rotation, and it's going to help us going forward. And I'm really just proud of those guys, and as one of the leaders of this team, it's refreshing to have those guys step up.
In terms of the chemistry and the bond that you guys are able to build this season, compared to, say, last season when you go on the road and there's all these restrictions and you can't go out and do things, how much of a difference is that making?
It's made a lot. Everything was so isolated last year, even the way we sat on the bench, right? You check out of the game and you go sit in the 3rd row of the stands and you watch the game from behind the stanchion and you can't touch anybody. You know what I mean? Like, we're scared to, fist bump. It's weird. So last year was, weird every step of the way, and this year it's felt a little bit more normal. I think, having some time to build some culture, build some chemistry on and off the court, I think it helps, and it pays dividends when things are tough, and that's why you see we've had a couple winning streaks, and then when things are not going our way, we're able to get out of it. I think that speaks to the chemistry.
Nick was in here earlier and said at the beginning of the year he'd asked the team to switch defenses middle of the game. You guys would have no idea what you're doing. And now, tonight you guys switched a couple different times and you guys were pretty good. How far has this team come in that respect, and does it feel like you guys can do almost anything defensively?
Yeah, I think sometimes we still don't know what we're doing. But no, I think we've come a long way. We've come a really long way, and that's the exciting part, right? As we get ourselves ready for the playoffs, is this team has the potential to do it. Now, being that I've seen what it looks like to have the championship level, you know, we still got some ways to go there, but we're certainly a long way from where we started at. And again, that speaks to what I said earlier about the young guys getting up to speed, and as we start to plug guys in and out, being able to adjust and read game plans. Coach has got a hell of a system. When it's working, it's pretty tough to beat, and then, you know, when it's not, it looks pretty bad. So we gotta get up to speed, and you know, coaching staff has done a great job of kind of making us do it and not bailing us out.
Yeah, how much will a healthy OG matter for exactly what you're talking about and where you guys want to try and get to?
Yeah, I think it's important, you know, without putting too much pressure on him as the guy that's out and, you know, been banged up a little bit. You know, some things you can control, some things you can't. He's had a little bad luck there, but again, this franchise is at this point, you know, he's an important part of the future. And when you think about, you know, the Toronto Raptors, we're lucky to have Scottie turn out the way he did. But I think coming into this season, it was myself, Pascal, and OG, and OG's still a big part of that trio, and Scottie's been great for us. So that's kind of offset that a little bit. But yeah, going forward, we're gonna need him, and you can see it. You know, without having him, then we plug him in. It just looks like a different team. So you miss him out there when he's not out there. So hopefully, you know, I don't know where he's at. I haven't spoken to him about his injury, so I don't want to speak too much. But we would like to get him feeling good going into the playoffs, where we're gonna need him.
Last question for you is online. Go ahead, Oren.
Hey Fred, congrats on the win. When you look at the way that you guys this stretch run and how every game kind of got more and more important, but you guys handled your business, what does that say about this group? And does that kind of project anything towards the playoffs?
I think it speaks to the maturity process of, you know, this season and where we were, and kind of guys just figuring out, and guys just kind of playing free for all, and everybody trying to figure it out. And then we put a singular goal on the table, obviously after All-Star game, of avoiding the play-in, getting us a top, you know, 5, 4, 6 spot as we were looking at things. And we've had a number of, you know, things in terms of adversity come at us, and we've been able to handle it. So like, again, I think this entire roster of players needs credit for that. I think the coaching staff needs credit for that. And, you know, the playoffs is a completely different season. So I'm excited about it. I'm happy that we're in, and looking forward to the challenges that brings. But I don't know if we can project, you know, anything other than the fact that we do it. You know, if we're rolling, I think we have the potential to do some damage, some real damage in the playoffs if we got it going. And obviously we know our margin for error is pretty small with this group, so we'll see.
You mentioned how the whole roster deserves credit. I'm curious, in the playoffs, you know, when you kind of game plan for another team, I know a lot of guys who don't necessarily get big minutes will have to play the other team, the other role on the opposing team. How important are those guys in the playoffs when it comes to practices and game planning?
Well, I just think my perspective as, you know, a guy that was coming off the bench and most of my playoff experience other than the bubble, like, those guys turn the tide, you know, one way or another. So if, you know, kind of stars will cancel each other out, you have big performances, you got guys that you need to rely on, and, you know, sometimes you can't survive a bad performance from your best players. But if you get some of those other guys around the board, like I said, you know, whether it's coming off the bench or just the complimentary guys to get hot or have big series, man, it can really change the tide of things. And you know, we saw that with the championship run, and, you know, we've kind of been on both sides of it, of myself at least, playing good and playing bad. It really can change the dynamic of the team.